Microphone check. All right. I should have wrote a few things down, but I'm trying to think. I think since Zelensky's here, I'll say what I know right now. I want to focus more on the future. You know what I'm talking about? So we're pushed into like these events that we have to react to, and we're forced to confront or whatever. You know, and it sucks because we want to be growing society and civilization. And if you're into luxury of being a pacifist and someone's being brutal towards you, you won't have that luxury of being a pacifist if you don't stop the violence or whatever. So we're sort of forced to deal with this, you know. And I think to grow democracy is our only option because in world history, we're either contracting or we're expanding, and that's the every empire, you know, and even the Roman Republic, it realized that, you know, what made these democracies great in Greece and Rome is that they were able to handle problems as a republic and democracy against tyrants. And most of these tyrants overtook democracies, and for a short time they able to take that once democracy and make a kingship or tyrantcy at it and made it a fascist regime. It was able to conquer their neighbors, and then all their neighbors came around and had to, you know, change them to a democracy. And this happened over and over again. Tyrants and dictators came up, and then other people came in. And I think that time needs to come to an end where we just expand democracies aggressively, but without violence after this. You know, we have no choice. We have to do regime change. There is no other option because we're going to keep doing this every generation, every century, every millennium. You know, fighting dictators and people on the guise of using a democracy, because these structures that make us civilized, you know, these governmental structures that keep us honest, you know, it's not destroying them. It's these different democracies that make us stronger. You know, each of these countries are like states of our world nation. You know, we have to make it like that. So if one country is a dictatorship and they're not playing ball with the rest of the country, I mean, the rest of the world, we can't do business with them. We can't trade with them. Moreover, you know, with Ukraine and Russia, we can't allow Russia to import bomb-making material. We can't allow them to make war-making material. The only thing we should allow in is food, and that's it. Basically, that's the only thing we should importing. You know, I'm talking about like the bare necessities. Everything else is going to be indirectly used for war-making materials. You know, because I don't want to get into we should destroy the infrastructure or whatever else like that. But you know, we do need to you know, destroy certain aspects of their infrastructure, like their transportation. So without hurting the civilian population, we want to take out, you know, the railroads in Russia. That, you know, basically make it towards like during the industrial revolution, you know, the age of steam, basically. I mean, because they have enough gas, I suppose. So we could definitely restrict their movement. How do you do that? You know, with the rail lines, and there's different innovative ways. And it's sort of like soft targets or whatever, but the more you destroy it or whatever, the more you impede their movement. Because when you deal with masses of people, they're going to throw masses of people. How are you actually going to do it? You can keep killing them or whatever, but they're going to keep throwing masses of people. So you got to keep delaying that, and you got to create basically killing fields within Ukraine or whatever. But that only goes so far. So destroying their movement to actually get people to the front has worked time and time again, even since the Civil War, and even towards, you know, the First World War, when, you know, Russia capitulated during the Red Revolution, and they put everybody on trains from the Western Front to the Eastern Front, you know, ready for that big attack, you know. So how can we destroy? Well, we got to invent something to destroy their rail lines, right? So maybe like a car, a railroad car. You know, you can get like a BMP or something like that, or like a Striker or something like that has tracks, and you just land in it goes almost remotely to the track, and it just starts digging up the track, locks on, and it just starts digging it up and just bending the tracks ever so much. So when you bend it back, it will never go, because when you bend metal one way, you bend it back, it won't go back to what it was. It's unusable. You know what I'm talking about? And they get like a hydraulic press every so often, and you just outright just bend one, and they toss it to a side. So it digs up the track, and it bends it ever so much that you can't use it again. You just keep doing that, keep doing that. In some rural place of Russia, in the industrial place, because what happens is they're going to see it and they're going to blow it up, whatever. So you just got to keep dropping them and restrict the movement. Not just take every bridge out that's within like 50, 100 miles of Ukraine. I'm talking about, you have to restrict it, because if you make killing fields within Ukraine, let's say you take a place that's already destroyed, right? Heavily in here in Donetsk, right? Is that Donetsk? Luhansk? The bottom part of Donetsk, right? You sacrifice that territory because it's already basically destroyed. You make a system of trenches like the world has never seen, like supporting trenches to guard Ukraine, but you allow that area to come in, and you just focus it with so much foreign power, and you allow massive people come in and you just destroy it. Because they have to come in some place, so you got to allow them to come in place, and you just keep destroying them, because if they're able to mobilize 1 million to 2 million people, it's going to happen. So you want to define where they come in and control where they come in, but you can only allow them to come in and destroy them so many times. It's going to be eventuality that you have to go after Moscow, and to go in deep into Russia, where you take out every military base or whatever, every training facility, really, because that's where they're going to make the soldiers or whatever, right? So I mean, I guess in a perfect scenario, you could go after training scenarios. You go after the officers that train people, and you constantly go after the people that keep the cohesiveness of the military, whatever. But that is that reality? I don't know. Are you able to have enough guided missiles to keep going on, taking out the officers' barracks where they train them? I don't know. I'm talking about how often before they catch on, we have to completely destroy that training facility. I'm talking about? So that type of thing. Any road coming into Ukraine, you want to basically pulverize it till it's just a muddy morass or whatever. You don't want to have it paved. And how do you do that? For 15 miles in. So from Ukraine to Russia, so you just want to destroy every fucking road, that's not paved. So something needs to be invented, like maybe a plow, because if they slowly start mobilizing the whole population, you got to destroy their ability to get to where they want to destroy. I'm talking about, and expand that out, because that's what we're looking at. It's very archaic, and it has to do with more flat building and the infrastructure. That if you can't go after the civilian population, you have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's the most humane way to do that. And we see with the vehicles that are mostly destroyed is the armored vehicles. And we already know that, it's first try capability. So we have to improve on our armored vehicles, because it's almost like a cycle with the armored vehicles. So get our armored vehicles where they can withstand 50 caliber, heavy machine gun. And honestly, that's it. It's never going to stop. Well, it can stop, cannons to a degree, whatever, but it's just not reality. I'm talking about, you're not going to stop a tank run. You're not going to stop a javelin, whatever. So you got your armored car that could definitely stop heavy machine gun fire with the cannon on top, whatever. And we keep pumping them out there as fast as we can. Even like trucks, we could get like kits of like suspension or whatever, and put a 30 millimeter cannon on top of it, not 30 caliber machine gun, but 30 millimeter cannon, whatever, and get those as much as possible out there, because that's going to force multiply the population. I mean, the amount of forces Ukraine could put out there, because now every person unit, four-man unit is now has an armored vehicle, whatever, and they're coming out on foot. I'm talking about. And so that's what we got to do. Just more artillery. Because we have no luxury where we could, now over here, we don't have to do too much, but we won't have that for too long. So we have to get unfortunately, our defense industrial complex geared up and ratcheted up. I'm talking about to handle this, and we know it's artillery shells. Before we don't have the time, to do that. We got to start innovating now. We got to have like a Stinger, a handheld Stinger that could shoot down other missiles, whatever. I know we have the capability. So when we got to drop off at like the Aberdeen, not Aberdeen, but wherever we do our missile testing, whatever, or weapons testing, drop off 100 Stingers, drop off as many Stingers they need, and just have them fire out each other. See if someone can fire a Stinger, and have a drone fly, whatever, and see where he could take out that other Stinger. But that's how accurate it could be. We have the ability where we could have the actuators move enough to attack that other missile. We know we have the computing power to do that, to make that actuators and the computing power to take out that missile, handheld missile. Now all we do is have to connect those two, the processor and those, that ability. And then we combine that with, our AA technology of identifying what missile that is, and, so whatever it knows that attack angle, because it knows it's going to be delayed, so it has to fly it a little bit before and then hit it, whatever. Maybe change out the warhead so it has a bigger blast pattern. Those type of things. And I know if we do it, we could get that done in a week if we're committed to doing it. That way, we could have handheld anti-drone, anti-missile missiles, and we could saturate Ukraine with that, and then we could have that. I'm talking about, we have the components almost off the shelf. We just have to put them together. We got to get the people there that could do it quickly, and we need to do that as fast as possible, because it's crazy the amount of these little shitty fucking drones coming out doing as much damage. And we need to have another layer of anti-air where it's handheld, not just these could take out aircraft or whatever, and we can even boost the power of these Stingers, whatever, to go just a little bit farther, whatever. So they see it, boom, and where we could do it cheap enough and have the law of the masses, we can just keep pumping them out or whatever. And even something like reusable, where it's just a missile, you have the launcher or whatever. So you have a launcher, and you just keep putting in a new missile, whatever, I'm talking about. And it's self-contained within, the missile itself, the Stinger 2.0 or whatever the fuck it is. That's what we need, I'm talking about. And even the quality of the Javelin, where now we know we're taking vehicles, like we can have a Javelin that we could change, just tweak just a little bit, that, okay, take out the tracks, whatever we need to, I'm talking about, because we know we want that vehicle and we can have luxury. So let's see if we could take, it comes up, instead of taking out that taking out that tank or that armored vehicle, it just takes out the fucking tracks, whatever, right? And make sure you have a cannon right there, ready to put out the tank. But it could have that option, take out, destroy tank or disable. Have that little option on a Javelin, I'm talking about. And moreover, in our new tanks or any kind of armored vehicle, if you want to go a heavier armored car or whatever, it should have like skirts or whatever, because they're taking out the track. So the wheels should have like a little skirt where it can take out, handle 50 calibers. Like little, so like metal armor that comes down, whatever, over the wheels and tracks, whatever. You got to keep pumping them out, man. If you look at the numbers, I hate to go into the numbers, but those armored vehicles are just being like, it's like a big fucking sinkhole. And giving them weapons, it has to be seamless or whatever, I'm talking about. We have the luxury of debating and arguing with each other and everything like that, but Ukrainians don't, whatever, we're not going to always have this luxury. We should not take for granted. We have to do things now. If things are pushing beyond our control, we should be prepared with our anti-air defenses. It's just what we have to do. We can't be complacent. Lithuania knows this. Finland knows this. Poland knows this. We have to get onto that level. I'm talking about. We're seriously complacent on it, because they're going to take that to mobilize faster than us. Anything we take for granted or we are honestly altruistic about, they're going to take advantage of it. It's just, have to do it the right way, the moral way, and to how do we make lives better for Russians after this to make it a democracy, or else because we're going to deal with it again. Because if it's not a democracy, if it's a dictatorship, we're just going to deal with it again and again. Talk about. And China, it is the same thing. So after this, it's going to be China. China is basically freaking out because because Ukraine is beating the shit out of fucking Russia. And they know they can't attack Taiwan. They want to. If Russia is able to mobilize, they're going to take that as a template to mobilize Chinese, because the Chinese are like, it's in the history of China, it grows and then it shrinks. And why does it happen? It has so much of a population, it goes to war, whatever, because it knows that the people are an expendable resource. It could shut off 1/3 to 10% of its population, and it knows it will be a more effective nation, whatever. That's how old it is, and these are what these countries doing. It's almost like Vladimir Putin's like Vlad the Impaler. He doesn't care about his people. He will put his people heads on stakes. See what I'll do to my own people. That's what I'm going to do to you. But we can't be intimidated by these things, because brutality and sadism is not talent, is not creativity, does not make your technology better. It just doesn't. It's not the Middle Ages. Making yourself and gaslighting your country is the best does not make you have that technology the best. Innovating and making the structure and that the economic system does. And I'm talking because you need to see exactly what you're doing and have open, everything to be like, okay, this is how you're doing it, transparency, but like, this is what we need to prove on, this is what we need to do. That's what makes innovation. And they're stealing it, taking it, and they're using it against us. So we can't have China have any of that, not just processors, but, hard drives and solid state drives and RAM, anything that could hold information and steal our technology. Russia or any dictatorship, what is now a democracy, should not be able to manufacture high manufactured goods. Because we're basically enabling what's going to destroy us. No, if you're going to be within the nations of democracy, you get to play ball and make these high manufactured goods, and we trade them back and forth, and we have competition. Oh, my widget is better than your widget, and this, that, and the other, whatever. I'm talking about that. We sell it to the other people. I'm talking about. They don't get to make it. No way. So the world economy needs to change. And we could do that. And we know we could do that since COVID or whatever. This is like a watershed moment where we as the world community could do that. And we know we could unify under different democracies, But like I said, I'll do one map and then I'll jump off. So, say Belarus does come in. Maybe I'll make an arrow. And we'll give Belarus. So they come down these roads, right? I got a little bit of a delay here. Ukraine needs to bypass whatever they're attacking, whatever attack it is. over from Minsk. Make this yellow. And what is the path of that? It doesn't really matter. My point is this: since this is not really working, as effectively as I wanted to, I can explain it a lot better. So, disregard that for a little bit, but you get the gist of it. So if they're coming down, and you have a system of trenches, and you keep building, and you let it absorb the brunt of it, and you get a feel about where they are. You get ready for their counterattack, whatever. You can't, they're probably going to try to mobilize all of Belarus or whatever, right? You want to deal with them as quickly as possible before they learn how to fight, before it gets stagnant. So you do have to absorb it for a certain duration. And you want to create pincers where you can. But these pincers are going to create an opening. If you cannot just totally just bypass the main attack and go after Minsk, constantly make those pincers out. Standard SOP that has been happening, whatever standard operating procedure that's been happening throughout time and time again. You'll find where they're weak. You punch up through with a bulky force. You know what I'm talking about? So you have this attacking force to go after Minsk. And 20% of that will peel off and capture right to Minsk, and then there'll be a follow-up to capture another staging ground to have a supply up to Minsk, whatever, another town. And you get as much, so you just push them back just as much as possible. You make a thunder run up to Minsk. So it's up there, and then the follow-up attack is now going to make your supply runs, stabilize your supply runs. That makes sense. And you do regime change as fast as you can. And then you tell the new government Minsk to arrest any Russian soldier within Belarus and expel them from the country. Or you can capture them and put them out of the war for the duration. Because that's what Russia's trying to do. They're trying to mobilize their population. And Ukraine has just enough population where it could deal with it. But we have to supply it. And we know we need to give them artillery shells. We need to give them those Excaliburs and all those other type of artillery rounds, like they could shoot it off like it's nothing. I'm talking about, because there's no way to tell how much. Here I am talking. I don't fucking know. You gotta speak to these people on the ground. How many shells do you want to fire? You ask the Ukrainian artillery thing. Ideally, if you could shoot off as many rounds as possible with this particular artillery, with a 55 or a 777, I want to shoot off X number of rounds. 500 rounds. And it's practical and feasible. That's our number times the amount of weapons we have. That's what we have to give them. That's our target. I'm not saying it's reality, but at least we know a number. You know what I'm talking about? And we just keep calling them in. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's what's the majority of the war. That's the majority of the war. That's what we have to gear up. And we have to have, because if there's going to be masses of people, they need to have be able to bracket them in, is constantly keep their heads down shred them up. You know what I'm talking about? Whatever's the most effective weapons we need to do, and it's going to come to the. That's what we just need to ratchet up our defense production. Some of the things before it's too late, before they do it fast. We don't know what China's doing. You know, we don't know how fast they're gearing up their war industry. You know, or what they're prepared to do and how much they're going to sacrifice. But historically, you could look at what China has done before. And honestly, this could be the last of the most powerful dictators, China and Russia. And we should take full advantage of that, you know. They're creating this chaos, and we need to deal with it. I think another thing is, what does Ukraine need? You know, one of the things that Germany did, and what Russia also did, they had two projects. They built train tracks out to the front. So I think we have the train tracks to the front, more or less. What we don't have is they have a whole department of laying down gas lines. Like there's a department of the military, within the Russian military, that is lay down these gas lines. That's what we could do. From, you know, it's a little counterintuitive because a lot of gas pass through Ukraine, whatever, but it needs to get to the front to do the most good, right? So from Kyiv to Kyiv and wherever the front goes to Kharkiv and to Dnipro, across under the Dnipro River, out to the front over there, and down to Kharkiv. So these gas lines, buried or whatever, they can't be destroyed or hard to destroy. And they could always just constantly fill up the tanks on our vehicles, whatever, if it becomes an issue, that type of thing. So it's an almost like an unbreakable supply line. Because if it's getting artillery shells fast enough, we got to start thinking about how to make it streamlined. But the ability for Ukraine to attack any military base is an urgency anywhere in Russia. And if the ability to attack Murmansk and Vladivostok, that should already be done too. Even if they get a freighter, a cargo freighter, have it ship all the way the fuck around, they just keep dropping those like the water skis or where the fuck it is, and just go after them. But honestly, it should be torpedoes, because when you have a torpedo, when an explosion happens on the ground, it makes a natural shape charge, and it will sink it because it's below water level, and it will sink it. But if you have the little jet ski, it blows here and all the blast goes up in the air. You know, I'm not a physics expert, but that's what happened. So you know. What would be really ideal if we torpedo technology for anti-ship missile, instead of having an anti-ship missile, we could have an anti-ship missile that could file somewhere in Lviv, right? It's almost like a ballistic missile, like a mini ballistic missile. It goes up, hits the water. Here's the ship, right? And it flies, and like almost a mile or farther as it could get out. Then it dives in the water, right? Then it turns into a torpedo. Because now, how is the anti-air going to get to it? Now you literally have to get. Now you have to shoot out. You have to have another anti-torpedo, and it flies into the ship. I mean, it swims to the ship. That's what you need. That's the new kind of type of fucking anti-ship missile. No more fucking Navy. We have missiles that could come out of the water. Now we just need a missile that cuts its engine, turns into a fucking submarine, a torpedo, and it happened. We have those. They were in World War II. They're on fucking airplanes. They would drop it, boop, and go in. So why can't we have a fucking missile sheds off that stage, drops into the water, right to the fucking thing? How are they going to shoot that down? Done. By Navy. And so we can embargo all of Russia. We can embargo, no more ports for China. No more trade for China. Every fucking ship is destroyed. Done. That's what we got to develop. These new type of weapons, whatever, we have it. We're almost off the shelf technology. We have the we have the technology ability. We just have to put it together. We just have to put our minds together. Talk about. It's just like shit. We just got to come together and deal with this. All right, I could go on or whatever, but that's what I do have. I want to look at future type of weapons to end this. As quickly as possible, to end the suffering, to change this democracy, so we can become a unified world or whatever, and have a higher standard of living for everybody. So we'd innovate, create, seek out our passions, do what we love. That should always be the most powerful. It's just like, I grew up, it's like, oh, love is the most powerful thing. I'm like, okay. But what is that? That communication, that connection, that togetherness. That is what creates. That is literally what enables creativity, innovation. So it is. That's what I'll leave you with. South Ukraine. Give them what they need. Then we can handle this.